have. But I would assume you could have X titles on your console for as long as you're paying the $10 a month.
That's my guess. Unless they have it like kind of like Netflix, where things cycle in and out.
Yeah.
So you can have this game until this point, and then we'll just kind of shut it off with some sort of back end
Yeah.
code.
So I'm kind of liking this. It's I think it's gonna be great for people like my nephew who can't really drop $60 on games very often, but he can probably work out $10 a month and have basically drastically expanded game library. Because in the end, I don't necessarily have some games I need to play instantly the day it comes out.
Yeah.
Titanfall 2 recently came to mind. Actually, game we just talked about last week in the episode. Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yeah, sounds like you're probably going to be want to get on that day one.
Didn't get it day one because I was at the user conference for work.
Well, that was beta, right?
No, that was beta was the week before, 2 weeks before.
Okay, so it's out now.
It came out
Like,
the 7th, which I was at the conference.
Oh,
I got back the
damn.
9th, and it was purchased. So, I don't know. I like this. This is really cool. It's Microsoft is really stepping up their game to try to really want people. They're trying to cover every base to make you want to buy one of their consoles. Because a lot of times people are complaining about Sony's for gamers, Microsoft is for everybody else. That's kind of what they think. Because Sony had all these game-specific restrictions.
Gotcha.
Where Microsoft is, it acts as our home entertainment center, kind of. Right? We watch TV through it. We watch Netflix through it. We probably watch more. We probably watch more stuff on it than we play video games.
Yeah.
But that's
my PC.
Yeah.
That's essentially just explain the same thing.
So this is bringing them back a little focus on the video game subscription. Phil Spector, who runs Xbox, this is really hyping this. They're gonna put some serious effort into this. Yeah. We'll see what happens with the EA, because technically, like I said, EA does the same thing. EA Access, or Origins Access, I think what it's called on the PC. There's a similar version that you get the EA titles, but this is just those 4 companies alone plus the Xbox titles. Like they had I want to say it was Halo Guardians was on there now, which is the last Halo that came out, but it's been out for around 8 months or so.
Gotcha. It seems like something like this could take over if there was high-speed internet everywhere. Yeah. Unfortunately, not every place has high-speed internet, especially like the Midwest or like where I'm living. So I couldn't really make use of a system like this, where most people with good internet, there's no reason not to. If you're going to be playing enough games, it's just like when Blockbuster got overthrown by Netflix.
Well, it's the important difference here is it's not streaming. PlayStation streams. You can download these. So similar to what you do some of the games we talk about now.
A long time to download.
You could just go to work, hit download,
and come back a week later and play it.
But it still gives some options. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that. I mean, I'll honestly need to look at what kind of titles we're looking at, and go from there.
Yeah, it just has to be expansive enough a library. Just like Netflix. It's a good comparison to compare it to Netflix. Because I'm sure when Netflix first came out, they didn't have a massive library like they have now. They don't have as many originals. Who's to say there won't be more original games popping up just for this service?
Yeah.
It's a possibility.
I'm curious to see what GameFly's reaction is going to be. GameFly is still a thing.
They do like the mail out.
They do the
thing,
discs.
Right?
They do like original Netflix, where it wasn't streaming. It was you mailed out a disc. You kept the disc as long as you can. You paid monthly based on how many discs you want to have out at once.
Gotcha.
I did GameFly when I got my Xbox 360 the first time, because I had an issue where I'd buy a game, and at the time we didn't have cable, and I had a lot of spare time, so I was just chewing through like $60, $50 games
like
every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like I can't afford this, so we went with GameFly. So we'll see. And we'll talk more about it as they release details, because once it comes out, it's something I definitely be interested in.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if this will be like the next big thing, because it honestly seems like it could be. Like I said, the only restriction being that some people that have slow internet either don't want to wait for games for that long, or they just go get it if they really want to play it.
Yep.
I don't know.
The next thing in news, do you remember what Marilyn Manson got blamed for around the time Columbine happened?
What he got blamed for? No, I don't remember.
So Columbine, the school shooting in Colorado,
shooting.
right? It came out that they were listening to Marilyn Manson, and that made their kids violent and homicidal, right? And then it was violent video games, Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Battlefield. Those games, they were trying to say politicians, very specifically a politician in Oregon a couple months ago said that the violent video games are directly linked to increased behavior, negative behaviors and whatnot. in comes a major study from a college in Britain that says there is no link to violent behavior with violent video games.
Gotcha.
They did a bunch of testing. They had basically brainwave monitors on people while they played, specifically Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, so very specific violent games. There's no confusing these with like Super Smash Brothers, where it's cartoony violence and no one's dying. Where this is where it's
the games are really trying to be as realistic as possible.
Yeah. So they took these games, did some brain scans, and then said, okay, we're not noticing any increased behavior where it should be in those aggressive centers of the brain. Then they took people who didn't play any of the video games, and they showed them images, trying to see if there was a desensitivity things. And sure enough, they did MRIs while this was happening, and there was not. So they showed some pretty graphic, horrible images, and the people who even played the game, when seeing real life images, had the same brain reaction as someone who hadn't played any of these games.
Yeah, so they have like a definite separation between what's real and what's fake.
Yeah, so they're like when you play Grand Theft Auto, you're carjacking, killing something. You're seeing it as just a digital person.
It's a goal. It's a means to an end. You're just trying to get the experience to get to the next part. It's not
same thing with Call of Duty. You're trying to get your KD up because it's in the end you're not actually shooting somebody.
Yeah, and it's understandable that somebody would see that like these violent things could cause violent thoughts in people. But you got to think that that's probably not the first thing that's going to cause violent thoughts in that specific type of person. If you go like way back in the day to like gladiator battles and things like that, if kids watch that same kid would probably be affected the same way, that takes it a little too serious and just goes like a step too far. That's with anything. Movies. I mean, movies alone, there's so many entertainment. Like horror is a genre where people get murdered all the time. I love horror movies. I would never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight people at all.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting. It's one of the first long-term studies that really link this. So as a gamer, it's important. And, it's something I think about with a kid, like how much censorship, if you will, like when she's playing Disney Infinity and she finds it hilarious to throw things at people and they blow up. Am I encouraging like some sort of negative behavior? And as long as I'm not, as long as the kid understands the difference between right and wrong, and this thing eases my pain a little of, am I jacking up my kid? Because every parent's like worst nightmare is they did something to screw their kid up.
Yeah, and parents have to take a little bit of responsibility of what they're going to put in front of their kids, no matter what it is.
So that helps, I guess, make some choice. Not saying my kid's going to play Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty anytime soon, but
wait until she's mature. You'll know.
Yeah,
she could be as young as 12 years old, but if she's mature enough, then why not?
Yeah,
So
I have no worries about Disney Infinity or Minecraft right now, so it works out.
Conveniently, they have a rating system on things. It's pretty decent, I would say. That'll work.
I had no closing. Normally I can segue works. In the end. I was like,
it doesn't matter. That's what it's going to be like. Doom Ninja Podcast. We're going to cut that hard.
Right. I literally, my brain stopped. I was audio. Like, all right, we made our point.
So what everybody sees now is a lot of podcasts are just like run on. They just keep going with their thoughts. They try to segue between one thing and another. We're not really worried about that. We're going to cut it wherever and then start fresh on the next thing. Check into our notes. That way we don't have to feel rushed or anything like that. So right now, none of this is recording. And we're going to start after you hear the next clap on the next game. What was this? News.
So let's do Pokemon first, and then we'll do the whatever.
All right. Let me make sure this exports correctly. I might hear some back chatter noise here. Come on. Any sound here? Oh, it's because it's going through this thing. If it's bouncing the little thing, it's playing. Yeah, it's there. Okay. All right. Yeah, I got this wonky little audio thing. People can't see it, but my audio port on my laptop is crappy. This laptop was a zombie brought back from the dead. When I fixed it, I fixed the power jack on it because it was busted off of the board, and the screen was shattered too. And the hard drive was bad. So It was literally like a zombie amalgamation that somebody, I'm pretty sure they punched it. I think that's what they said, is they punched the machine. So it's surprising that I've gotten as much out of it. I only paid $100 for the repairs. So that was pretty
Not
sweet.
that bad. Yeah.
No.
Ready?
All right. If we're doing Pokemon first, let me scoop down here and delete this track. Rewind.
So Ryan,
Gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all.
so you work in a what is commonly referred to as an LGS,
Yeah. LGS.
a
Why would I
local
ever call that? I was thinking of like a card. I always think card games, but I guess, yeah.
through a local gaming store.
Gaming store. Yeah.
So you work at one, and you've made an effort. We've talked about it multiple times of learning something of the things besides Magic, right? We both
Yeah.
actually we met playing Magic. That's how me and you originally met.
Yeah.
Was through a mutual friend playing Magic. That was the gateway, if you will, to our friendship. And we both, to an extent, still play Magic.
Yeah.
And you learned a bunch of other games we've talked about, but specifically, you started with Pokemon because
Pokemon was the first, because I've had experience with it before.
and there's
and
a lot of
it's-
people at the shop.
It's one of the more popular,
Yep.
right behind Magic. So the way that I chose to learn was through the online game. I found that there was an online version of it, and I said, okay, they probably have a pretty good tutorial. I'll give it a try. Have you played any Pokemon online?
Not online. I've like after you told me about this, I've been meaning to download it and
Gotcha.
try.
When's the last time you played in person? Have you played in person?
Phoenix Games. If that tells you how
They've
long.
been shut down for a while.
Yeah, it's been
I
a
never
bit.
used my credit for that place. They had a logo contest, and mine got the most votes, but they chose not to use it due to like the formatting of it. So they still gave me $50 in credit. I never used it. I could have had
I'm Facebook
time-
friends with the owner.
at the time I could have had like a set of Stoneforge Mystics, or a Mind Sculptor, maybe a Tarmogoyf back then because it was only like $50.
Don't even talk about Timer Guys. I unloaded like 10 for $12 a piece.
Get there.
That's a cool $1,200 now. Anyway,
I helped a friend unload one for like 80. They're like $100 now, 105. So he got pretty
Yeah.
good money off it. I remember when he got it, and it had all the different card types on it. I didn't know if it was good or not. I was just like, you might want to hold on to that because it could be really strong for 2 mana. And he did, and that's the same friend that I sold it for like $80 later.
we could do a whole thing about that.
But Pokemon is what we're talking about here. What is it on? Android, Windows, Mac, and iOS for the Pokemon trading card game online. Which I didn't know was even on the mobile systems, so that's pretty awesome. I could see how it would easily suit the mobile versions. You need nothing to get started. So like Magic Online, you have to pay $10, something like that, and they give you a small collection to start with, which is basically like buying the cards.
It's pretty much garbage cards too.
Yeah. But within the game, I mean, cards are a lot cheaper through the marketplace. You can buy certain tokens through certain bots and buy cards that way. I mean, the cards are just cheaper.
Mhm.
But if you buy them pack by pack on Magic, they cost like $4, just like a pack of cards. Now, I'm not sure the cash to pack cost ratio that Pokemon has because I haven't spent money on the game, which is pretty sweet. And it's for a good reason. Because when you get packs in real life, they come with a card that gives you a code and a little scanner thing, and you can scan it in and get the packs online. Now, I'm not 100% if the packs are one-to-one the pack that you get. I still have to do like an experiment with that. Like maybe the next time somebody opens a pack, I'll ask for their card and say, I want to write these down, and then I'm going to scan it, and when I get home, I'm going to see if it has the same stuff in it. It's quite possible. I'm not 100%, because I got a lot of cards since I do work at the LGS. People throw these away because they don't play online. They just play in person.
Yeah.
So they have a actual cash value, like a monetary value. I want to say it's like 50 or 75 cents for those cards because they give you a real pack in the game.
Yeah.
And the game seems to have it together. A lot of card games I noticed, they seem like they're missing on something, like they're glitchy or buggy. Like even Hearthstone has like weird fuse glitches and cards floating in the air and things like that. And like lagging when you're in the store. I don't know if you've had that issue with Hearthstone. You go to try to buy like a new adventure and it just sits there.
Yeah.
And it spins and spins.
So sweet spot on Twitch, which we stream live when we do the recording, he says the cards are random unless you get a random EX or better. Then it's a different code, and the online pack will have a random EX.
Yeah, yeah. The code cards will actually dictate what's in your pack when you open them. I don't know if you heard that Sun and Moon packs were seeded for the new set that came out, Pokemon Sun and Moon. Every third pack, once you found one foil rare or EX or GX, would be another foil or GX. So you could literally open a box, grab packs until you found a foil, and then get every third one and leave the garbage. That was like a big deal because they were mapped so easily. Both rows were like that.
Ugh.
Take a pack, then take the third, the third, the third.
So how do gaming stores stop that?
I shuffled all the packs. Every time I opened one, I would just randomly shuffle them because we want everybody to have the same chance to win.
You know, if you knew all
Yeah.
the EXs were gone, the
If we wanted to be scummy, we could have just pulled them all out. But we don't need the extra $30 that you're going to get out of a box. Like the average amount of money that you'll actually pull out of a box is like $40, and you pay $100 for the box. I mean, it's not worth it. We'd rather have people come in, bust really good packs, and be super excited about it.
Yeah,
like
for
they'll
sure.
get lucky and grab that good one. Yeah, and that's what Sweet Spot just said. The mapping problem has been fixed in the new run. That's what I've heard as well. I just don't know from the distributor that we get at work if those are first run or not. So I'm just going to keep shuffling them anyway. And I'm sure they're not going to let that happen again. But the cards on every one of the good packs has white print with a green stripe going through it. All the bad cards have green, just a green background, no white, no stripe.
Yep.
So I have heard that they do give you better packs online, and it would make sense because you don't want the packs to be completely randomized online either. You want to have a better chance on some things. So it could be that, you know, I've cashed in a lot of white ones because I've gotten 5 or 6 GXs or something like that. I've gotten a good amount of them because people just give me the cards, which is pretty sweet. In all the packs, you can get packs in-game with the in-game currency, which you get by playing. It's like Poke tokens or Poke coins or something like that. And even going through the bot mode, which is like you go through the city championship, and then the gold tier, and then the platinum or whatever, and it gets harder as you go. The only unfortunate part about that game mode is that it's really grindy. Like every person you have to beat with 4 different decks, and it has to be precons that you use.
Okay, gotcha.
Which really is kind of crappy.
It's a grind, yeah.
But every tier, I want to say, has like 10 people that you face that each give you a pack after you beat them 4 times, and after you beat the entire row, you get 3 packs. So you can get 13 packs per. That's like you get a little over a booster box if you play through those.
Yep.
Which is pretty sweet. And that's not counting all the extra tokens that you get. You get like 25 tokens for winning a match. It costs 200 tokens for a booster pack. So by the time you finish, you got another extra 10 packs or something like that.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool. What else? The trading system in the game is actually pretty well done. Anything that you've purchased with in-game currency, any packs, are non-tradable. They're like soul-bound, essentially. They're account-bound.
Yep.
If you purchase something on in person and scan in the code, anything that you either the pack itself will be tradable, or the cards that you open in that pack will be tradable. So I opened a Tauros GX, and I traded it for a bunch of other packs, which I shouldn't have done. I shouldn't have traded it for Sun and Moon packs because somebody probably gave me all the junk codes because I got junk out of them. I should have picked a different type. But I set it up for trade. I asked what I wanted for trade, and you use a few Poke tokens or whatever, and it says you can have it up for this long. And then the trade just happens when you're gone. So like somebody wanted that Tauros GX, they gave me 6 packs for it. Good to go. And
that's pretty cool.
I actually, the first time I did a trade was through a streamer, which actually I want to give a shout out. They're not probably ever going to watch this, but they go by Triceps with 3 P's. Triceps. And he said he doesn't remember coming up with the name because he used to stream a long time ago, and he thinks it was because he was at the gym and he was like, his triceps were hurting or something.
Random gym mode.
Yeah, but this dude has like the best energy. He's my favorite streamer now of like anything. And I'm not like super huge into Pokemon like that, but I'll just watch it for the guy's energy because he does like silly things on the stream and he definitely has his stuff together. And I was in there and one day he was doing giveaways and he only has like 100 or 150 viewers at any given time. And I won 2 packs. And in order to get the packs, you just have to have anything in trade. He'll say, I'll trade for this junk card. You got a pincer. I'll take the pincer. Here's your packs. Enjoy. It's that easy in
That's
trading.
cool.
Yeah, it's very cool.
You have to give me some of them cards.
I'm out right now, but if people come in and they go to toss them out, I'll definitely hold on to them. We have a guy that comes in and buys them from us. We have a stack this big, and he comes in and buys them for like 50 or 75 cents a piece.
Nice.
Carl holds on to them. But every once in a while, I'm like, Carl, hook me up with a couple of those cards, because he's popping a few packs for the store. Be like, cards? He's like, whatever, sure, because they're not like that expensive.
So looking at the screen, I like the layout and the actual animations of the like when the Pokemon attack is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's not like they just kind of have the mechanics there and that's that. Like if you attack with a leaf Pokemon, depending on the damage you deal, changes the animation too. If you do a little bit of damage, it'll be a small leaf tornado. If you do a ton of damage, it's like just this huge swirling wind.
Nice.
Or like even with the water will be like a little spout, like. Or if you do a massive attack and it hits for weakness, it's like this column of water. It kind of has that feel that not as cool as Hearthstone, but that impact. When you do like a big attack, Hearthstone's like wham! It hits you like super hard.
Yeah, it's
This
like
game's
Moto
kinda
is just
similar.
a thwap in a
Yeah,
generic animation.
I always thought like, have you played Duels of the Planeswalkers?
Yeah.
It's the Steam version. That was done so much better. Like, why didn't they just implement that? Anyway, this feels like it was more put together in the vein of Duels of the Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Where they took more time than just making the cards do things. Like, even like just a few seconds ago, it showed an evolution. The card like warps into the card and spins around. It's now the evolution. You use the card de-evolution spray that de-evolves your card. It like pulls them up and like yanks the two cards apart, and then pops the evolution card back in your hand and plops the other one back down.
Nice.
Like everything has some attention dealt to it. There's coin flips and stuff. The burn, when they're burned, it shows like a burn animation or poison animations going around the cards. Like they really spent a lot of time on it, and it's fairly bug free. Like I've only seen a few times where like a card will pop up and maybe like the name of the attack might be a little off to the side or something like that. Totally forgivable. I have to explain more about the wind. What did I do? Did I do something like?
Yeah, you were quite animated with a full soundtrack on the wind on that one.
I'm clipping super hard on this too. Damn it! I'm gonna have to fix that in post. But the wind does this. It goes in a circle and it goes. It's a circle. It's like a circle. Have you seen? I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Yeah.
When the guys say, it's like a circle.
So what's
Anyway.
the Earth do?
What's the Earth do? It's like giant rocks. At first, it'll be like pebbles that fall down, like. But if it's a big one, it's like.
Quick,
What do we
on
got?
Twitch, give me some more
What is-
types because I
what
want
does
to
the
make them
fire
make
do?
sounds.
I haven't played Steel, or Metal, or Fairy, or Darkness. Really, Psychic does like this circle that comes out, and then these energy balls go down. It's like pew pew pew, and if you hit hard, you know it because it's like wow wow wow.
Literally can listen to this all day.
What? Damn it! What does a fire do? Because I use fire stuff. I use Ponyta and Rapidash, and Flareons and Arcanines. What do they do?
The video that we're watching.
so
it's all
lost.
Water Pokemon,
Yeah, the
so-
water shows the thing that comes from the sky. Yeah, it splashes on them. And then when they die, they turn sideways and you get to pick your prize cards. Yeah, it's super sweet. What do the basics do? The basics do like this energy bomb. It's like this circle. It looks like electricity and it's like, whoa, that comes out. So when
But what if
Kanga...
it's a strong one?
Whoa. Is this... What?
What if it's a more damaging basic attack? Does
It would
have
just
a-
be louder. It's
Like
like a slightly
how?
larger orb, and there's like it makes like a sound. Damn it! What are some other ones? Electricity has like a huge thunderbolt. When the electricity hits hard, it has probably the coolest impact because it's like legit like thunder. It just gets super loud. Because I played a Raichu deck, has an ability called Circle Circuit that can do a ton of damage. It can hit for like 160 or something like that,
Nice.
which is really good for something that takes 2 energy. But anyway, for those who don't know how to play Pokemon, this is a great way to learn because it costs you nothing, literally nothing. You can start playing against the computer with starter decks. There's also a mode if you want to play against people that is starter deck battles. You both will have a starter deck.
Can you
and
win
play.
currency from
You can.
PvP?
Yeah, and something that I haven't brought up yet, which is there's a quest system built in, just like in Hearthstone, where you'll have a thing that you can choose daily, and after you get to a certain level, you can choose more than one, or choose from more than one. And it'll have like Psychic, evolve 5 Psychic Pokemon, and then it'll show like the icons of the different game modes that you can play it in. So
Okay.
it'll say Trainer Challenge, Versus Mode, or there's some other icon, I don't know what it is. It's probably like Tournament, because I don't play Tournament. But most of the quests that I take, because I still have packs to earn in the Trainer Challenge, I'll just take them so I can use them in the Trainer Challenge. And then as you level up, each element has its own level. And after you level up an element, you'll get a new thing for that element. Like you'll get a coin that has leaf symbols on it now. And then after you level up that one again, you'll get sleeves that have a leaf symbol.
Oh, that's cool.
And after you level it up again, you'll get a special box that has the leaf symbols. Because all those things are things that are in the game that you can purchase just for cosmetic purposes. Yeah. Like somebody gave me a card at work that was from some Pokemon League thing, and it gave you 4 of like a Xerneas or something like that, some Pokemon, some fairy one, and a box, a special box with the Xerneas friggin' thing on it. And the box looks cool, so I was like, yeah, I'll use that box. I'm not playing that type, but whatever. Yeah, and Sweet Spot's saying, like, if you get into the TCG, you can get the codes cheap. Like I said, I think they're like 50 cents or 75 cents. You can get the pack codes. I'm not sure how the currency translates after you open things in-game, because I don't know if there are more packs in-game, because like I said, they're not tradable unless you win them through tournaments or you purchase them. So I guess there's probably a few more packs in-game, but I'm not sure. I know I traded a Tauros GX Ultra Rare, which is like the rainbow rarity, for 6 packs. And maybe I got undersold on that. I don't know. So what else we have? The deck building system that's built into the game is actually really good, because they have filters for like everything you can think of. You can click on the filter tab, and well, first off, there's 3 tabs: Pokemon, Trainers, Energy. For anybody that hasn't played Pokemon, you need to attach energy to your Pokemon, which you generally can do once per turn, in order to use its attacks. And each attack requires a different number of energy. It's pretty straightforward. You get to attack once per turn at the end of your turn. That's when your attack happens. There are cards that have abilities, and those kind of trigger at different times. Those are a little more in-depth. You don't have to worry about that to really know how to play the game.
Yep.
If you sat with somebody that played the game, they would explain that to you. You can only evolve once per turn if you haven't played the Pokemon that turn. Pretty straightforward. When you evolve something, you just kind of put it on top, and it becomes a better version of what it was before.
Yep.
Generally, it's going to be a better version. And the whole goal is...
Except for Pikachu, right? He's always amazing.
Well, Raichu... The Raichu that I played was infinitely better than the Pikachu.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yeah. Circle
There's
Circuit.
no way Ash could be wrong.
In real life, I have a Circle Circuit Raichu deck. So... And it's the Pikachu's fine. It's fine.
Back up!
I think, like... I want to say, like, Pikachu EX... is probably the good one. Are you familiar with EX cards?
No.
They did a cool thing in the game, which I don't know when they did it. I don't know if this had any tie-ins to do with like the video games, because it seems like with the video games they kind of release the same things in card game form because everybody's hyped about the video game. So like Sun and Moon came out because the Sun and Moon game just came out. And they took evolution versions of Pokemon and made them basic. So you don't have to like evolve something twice to have a Charizard. Now you can play Charizard EX. You just straight up play a Charizard. Because when you're playing a game, you have a chance to like just catch one by happenstance. You don't have to evolve everything in like the video games.
True enough.
So you get to just straight up use a high level version of that card. And there was some EXs of some of the more popular ones like Pikachu. And it just has higher HP, it does more damage, stuff like that. So those are pretty cool. And they come with a drawback though. If you knock out an EX, you get to take 2 prize cards. Which I didn't explain before, but in the game of Pokemon, you have 6 prize cards. After you get your hand to make sure you have a basic Pokemon, you deal out 6 random prize cards off the top of your deck. And as you beat a Pokemon, you take prize cards, usually 1 per Pokemon. If it's an EX or GX, you take 2. And if it has like a special ability that says you take extra, you can take extra. But the whole point is get all your prize cards or make it so they have no Pokemon left. That's how you win. So there's actually a strategy of if somebody's playing with a lot of EXs and stuff, they may not have like extra Pokemon to put on their bench right when they start. Like a lot of people play a card called Shaman because it draws you a ton of cards, but sometimes they'll get hosed because they don't have a lot of Pokemon on their deck, and they'll just put it on as their only active, and they're hoping to draw into their action. All their trainer cards is where they get their action. And the Pinsir that came in my precon has an attack that it's 2 basic energy, flip a coin, if heads, return the Pokemon to its owner's hand. If they have no Pokemon in play, you win. So if that's the only one they have out, you can hit a double colorless energy and possibly win on the first turn if you're going second.
Yeah.
You can possibly win on turn 1.
That's insane.
Which is, pretty nuts. But it's all up to, like, flipping a coin.
Yeah.
And a lot of the stuff in the game is, like, up to coin flips. When certain things are put on Pokemon, like certain ailments, like being burned, asleep, confused, those all require coin flips.
Sorry, dog.
Poison. Yeah, Psyduck. Psyduck confuses the new Psyduck. The attack says both Pokemon are now confused, which is pretty funny. Confusion's kind of cool. To anybody that's into Pokemon, they've done some rules changes recently. They've changed burn damage. The way that burn damage works now is once you put the burn on the Pokemon, they will guaranteed take 20 burn damage, and then you flip a coin. If you get heads, well, the opponent will flip a coin. If they get heads, the burn is removed. If not, it stays on, and then it gets burned at the beginning of the next turn. And they get to flip another coin. Yeah, they get to flip a coin at the beginning of each turn. When things are confused, they spin upside down, and every time you do an attack, you flip a coin. If you get tails, the attack does nothing and hits your own Pokemon for 30. Which is pretty cool. You just think of the Pokemon punching itself in the head for no reason. It's pretty funny. And what's the other ailment that's flipping a coin? Asleep. If it's asleep, you can't use any abilities on it, but if you get a heads, it'll wake up.
Gotcha.
At the same point in the turn. And this game is actually surprisingly fun and very accessible of all ages. Like, kids are just going to want to get, I want the EX, I want the big one. Give me the GX, I just need the big things. When you can play with even crappy things. Like, I have decks that have no EXs or GXs in real life, and they work totally fine. The only gripe I would have about the Pokemon card game is that anything competitive is essentially the same deck with just a couple different Pokemon. Like, all the base trainer cards can be played in any deck, and they are. So, like, you'll see, if you watch anything competitive, they have a tool called Floatstone. Lets you retreat things for free. Pretty much everybody plays that. Professor Sycamore, discard your hand, draw 7. Everybody plays that. N, both players shuffle their hands in, draw cards equal to the prize cards remaining. Everybody plays that. Versus Seeker, play a supporter from your graveyard. Like, get one back. Everybody plays that. Like, there's certain cards that just everybody plays. And even Pokemon, that Shaman card I was telling you about, it's a card that when you play it, you get to draw back up to 6. Why wouldn't you play that?
Yeah.
Like, everybody plays it. So their deck is like maybe 10 or 20% different from every other deck, but it's so samey. That's like the main gripe I have about it. And then to get the samey cards, you got to pay. Yeah. Shaman is $40 in real life.
Ugh.
Versus Seekers are like $6 or $7 a piece. Now, when you compare it to Magic, it still is cheaper to get into. Like, you use a lot of basic.
To use Magic terms, the meta is less healthy.
Magic lands are where a lot of money goes, and in Pokemon, your non-basic energy maybe costs $1, maybe, and there's a version of it that's 50 cents. So a lot of the money that's gone into that slot is not worried about, and I think that's why there's that difference. Like, if you go to get the N supporters, they're $5 a piece. Versus Seekers are $6 or $7 a piece. Shamans are $40. The big EX Pokemon and stuff are like $8. So it's still pricey, but not as pricey.
Gotcha.
But that's the gist of it. I mean, I'm still playing online, even though I've learned how to play it. Like, I still want to keep getting cards and whatnot, and just keeping the cycle going.
Definitely try it out.
I don't feel like I need to spend money or anything like that. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, if you have any interest in Pokemon, just check it out. I'll play you sometime. My internet can support it because it's like I take my turn, you take your turn. There's no responses or anything like that. So
if one of our listeners want to find you,
find Doombrowski. That's easy.
Boom.
Just search for Doombrowski, add me as a friend, and I'll add you back. I don't have anybody on my friends list except for Triceps.
Nice. So yeah, we'll definitely try it out. And so there's a new set coming out. Sweet Spot mentioned. Is that going to reflect somewhat the same time in online?
I believe they came out about the same time. I want to say they come out in real life. They come out with box sets that have a special card or special set of cards and then some booster packs. It's kind of like a fat pack in Magic, but a little different. And they came out with the Lycanroc GX box, and I believe it came out in-game before it came out in person.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's like the way that things work for the game, but I know the Lycanroc GX box came out either before it or at the exact same time. I want to say before it. I'm pretty sure it came out before. So they're pretty much hand in hand.
All right, so find Doombrowski and it's Pokemon TCGO.
Yes.
It's a good set.
It signed me out of the thing, the Google Drive. App 33. Pokemon TCGO. Rufio.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about this week's giveaway game, Total War Warhammer.
Total War.
So at any point during the time, and I will say once it's over, type in !raffle.
Get in there. Everyone, get in here. Easy
and
free game.
We will give you a
Easy.
Steam code.
High percentage of winning.
And we will, after we're done talking about it, we will draw a name and give it out.
Yeah. Total War Warhammer. Sweet Spot says, let me get that Warhammer. Warhammer. I always thought that was a really cool name for a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Warhammer. All right, let me get signed back in here.
Yep.
Show notes.
It's a really clean looking game too.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure. I like it. I definitely would rather play Pokemon Online than Magic Online. No doubt about it. Oh, oh man, it's been a while. So I put one of these in chat. I'm slacking. Gotta put a damn Doritos chip in chat.
Oh, stop saying.
I need to have PogChamp eat it. PogChamp, Dorito, chip. Eat that chip. Ooh, he looks like he's surprised by how big that Dorito is. I would be. Can you imagine a Dorito the size of your head?
It's called heaven, sir.
You just lick it. Dorito. Turn into Homer Simpson. Oh,
Dorito.
friggin' heartburn for a week from all the salt.
The cutscenes were, by the way, amazing.
I couldn't tell. They were choppy on my computer.
Really?
I'm about due for a new video card. I've had my card for a long time.
I just got
6850.
Shelby a 1050 Ti for $129.
Yeah, that's probably going
And
great.
it's beastly.
It rates about the same as the 950s did. I checked the pass mark on it when I went to
It's
look
actually
into
due
'em.
tomorrow. Her graphics card.
Yeah, I have a 950 in my living room, and it benchmarks like 5K or something like 5100. The one in my computer that I was playing my games on was like benchmarks under 2K or around 2K. So it's just like it's just struggling. It's old, so
Yeah.
it's time for a refresher. If I have some money at the end of the month, I'm probably gonna do some upgrades, some minor upgrades.
For me, the only upgrade I have left is just my CPU, and it's to like a 2-year-old version because I have an AM3 Plus motherboard.
Gotcha.
And the the 8350 is the last card they made for AMD.
Mhm. For
They
the
technically have a
AM3.
9350, but it's just apparently an overclocked
Yeah, and
8350.
it's not necessary. You
So-
need liquid cooling for it.
Everything else I need is a new motherboard, but then I have DDR3.
4 is not supported in AMD, so
Yeah.
you'd have to go Intel.
Yeah.
But if you
So-
off that processor, let me know. Because I'd be willing to buy it off you.
Okay.
Because that's probably what I was going to look to get.
Well, what I have now is an 8120.
Oh, I'll probably get an 8350. Or, I mean, even that would be double what I have now.
Yeah,
honestly.
it's an 8120 8-core.
Because I have a 4100 like FX.
Yeah.
It's not that good.
Okay.
But honestly, a lot of games are not processing power heavy. They're more graphics heavy. So, all right, let's get this recording started. Rewind.
So Ryan,
So Nate,
we have a thing we do every month.
what's that?
Humble Bundle Monthly.
Yeah, we do. It's awesome.
It's a way we get games. The whole idea was we play slightly different games. He doesn't like real-time strategy traditionally. I like real-time strategy traditionally.
I'm more into indie games. You're a little more into AAA.
Yep.
But
So there's
now
just
we got a
difference
mix.
in genres, and we get a solid mix to play. And it's an economical way to do it.
Yeah, and it's a cool way to be introduced to games that you normally wouldn't play at very little cost.
Like Steam World Heist, I would have never known about. And I like the game. I've played it a couple times since we talked about it.
Mhm.
The top of the month, they give for signing up before a certain date, you get the big game. There's a game that's typically about a year old and is a AAA title, or it's a $50 to $60 game. It's a high end.
Yeah.
It's meant to be a game for a draw. It's what makes you sign up for the service to start off with.
Yeah.
And the top of the month is always, we give away every week, whatever game we talk about,
Mhm.
we give away because we got a third copy for you, the listeners.
And thank the Patreon backers for that.
And thank the Patreon backers.
because
yeah.
they help with this giveaway, and they get back as well because there's always games left over.
And they get them.
Get them.
So this month's is Total War Warhammer.
Yes, Warhammer.
So Total War is a series that's been out for forever.
Yeah, they do like a lot of other stuff. Like
there was like Rome Total War and
yeah,
Ancient
yeah.
Total War. It's literally, I want to say it's 10 plus years that the Total War series as a whole has been going on.
That's so crazy. Like it just completely flew past my radar.
Yeah. And then Warhammer, if you don't know what Warhammer is, if you've ever been to any kind of gaming store,
Yeah, it's like
you'll see the tables with big terrains. They're always spray painted green, and you have these little minis that you paint, and those minis have abilities that you use a book, and it's a strategy game, right?
Like the most well known would probably be like the Space Marines. If you saw a Space Marine, you probably know what it is. That huge guy in hulking armor with like a big gun. That's like Space Marine. That's gun, from Warhammer.
But Warhammer's been around for 20 years. It's a very popular IP, if you will, between the minis, and there's been quite a few video games. There was an MMO that I actually loved, and it just didn't have the backing, and
I've heard that a lot of people really like that game. Like it was really good as far as MMOs are concerned.
It broke the mold of MMOs for having you had zone wide raids that were open. Mm-hmm. Like you walked as a lot of things that WoW has now added that it didn't have then, and it was a very awesome game, and I miss it terribly. But so that's Warhammer game. So it's made by it's called Creative Assembly as a developer, but it's published by Sega. It's one of their long running titles.
Sega.
It's available for PC and Linux.
I was off key on that. I'm sorry.
Do it one more time.
Sega. No, I think that was closer. Anyway, I should overlay both of them, make it sound like garbage because they're off by like a step.
When did they switch to the Sega to say it, Sega?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you remember that when they screamed Sega?
I just remember it screaming Sega, but I don't remember anything before it. Huh? It could have been maybe some of them had to say it, but I do remember Sega.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
So this is a turn-based strategy with real-time tactics.
Yeah, it's like 2 games in one. It really is.
So it was released about a year ago, so May of 2016. So there's aspects of like a real-time strategy or like Civ where you have to research technologies and upgrade territory. But then there's the fighting, which is it's basically a computerized version of how Warhammer works. You have squads, and you have to do tactics and move them and use their abilities properly.
And before a match starts, you can kind of move your troops within this one zone. You have a specific zone, and I think it's based on the size of your force.
Yep.
And you can kind of say, oh, I need the flying guys over here so they can scout, and I need to flank them on this side with the fast guys, stuff like that.
So what were your thoughts on the game?
Well, when it first brings you into it, it's like, choose from these overlords or these races, and you had like humans that had mages and then dwarves, and it said it's like, oh, it's a little easier to play a dwarf, they're pretty strong and well-rounded. And then they had like this vampire or like undead, and I was like, well, that's right up my alley. I like that kind of stuff.
They were all black.
Yeah, and there was one undead, and then there was another one that's like, this is a more difficult version of the undead, and it's like a pair of leaders, which maybe that's why it's more difficult because you're dealing with 2 people instead of 1. I'm not sure, but I picked the vampire lord guy, and he summons skeletons and zombies and stuff, and I picked it because it said like you can bring back the dead and have more troops that way. And in the game, you have to purchase your troops generally, from what I gather. But with this guy, you can use the corpses of, I'm guessing, the people that you've defeated. I don't think you can reanimate the corpses of your own guys. Maybe it's a percentage. Maybe it's a percentage of them that you can. I don't know. But that's why I picked them. It's literally the only reason. I didn't know what the Lord guy did. I still kind of don't know what the Lord guy does. Because if anybody's played, like I played Warcraft, like the old Warcrafts, I played 2 and 3. And this reminded me more of 3, the way that the skirmishes are set up, like a slower version of Warcraft 3 with bigger groups of enemies and forces, where you have like spearmen and shielded troops, and I had these flying bats, and I had this one big beast thing that was just given to me like right out the gate, and then you have your lord, like the commander of everything, and you can control him, and he's super strong, does a ton of damage, and has like special abilities that you can cast while things are going. The other troops didn't seem to have any type of special abilities. They're just like move them over here and click attack if you want to attack
Yeah,
them.
they either like are stronger offense or defense, or they're
Yeah, it's
ranged
literally
versus
just
melee.
like flat stats, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well, these guys say they're good against flyers, so I'm gonna push them over to the flyers,
Yep.
archers or whatever. But the leader guy had this group of abilities, which I couldn't understand all of them. Like they have a lot of different stats in each one. It's like this one will debuff enemies, and this one will be a AOE around your own guy that heals your guys and brings back to life, and like there's just a lot going on
Yeah, this
in the
game's
game,
pretty in depth.
even right from the beginning. And then, like, I mean, I won a couple battles. I figured out how to move things, even though I couldn't watch the tutorial. In the upper left-hand corner when you first start the game, there's like a click here to watch the tutorial link, and I clicked it, and I sat there for over 2 minutes waiting for it to load. It just spinning. I was like, screw it. They better teach me in the game because it's going to be a pretty short experience.
Yeah, this game's
And they
really
did.
hard to jump into.
They did actually kind of do some hand holding and teach you how to do it. Like, oh, to move your camera, zoom in, hold the click to move around. And even then, it was a little weird because you can hit tab to get like a whole other view, an over top view,
Yep.
which was generally a better view most of the time to me, because you see icons that float above the different groups, and you can click the icon and move it, and the whole group moves.
Yep.
Which that was kind of nice. See, comparing that to Warcraft 3,
You had to summon them up and link
you
them.
have to you have to get them all in a group or like grab a few at a time. This one, you click on that icon and it'll grab everything in that group.
Yeah, because in Warhammer, the tabletop game, it's everything moves in units. It's not; those are not autonomous single items. They all, if it's a group of 10 grunts, that group of 10 is always together, and it mimics that attack style in the game too.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I won a few battles, and every time you win a battle, it gets like this whole experience and currency system, and there's skill trees for like everything. It's really crazy. And even the way that you treat the battle after it's done, because like you said, there's this whole overworld mechanic to things where you have garrisons and there's like a secondary, like a turn-based strategy that goes on top of the real-time strategy. And that is affected by your combat. But like the first time I defeated something in combat, it said something like, what do you want to do? The leader's been defeated. All of his troops are wiped out. What's your choice? You can let him go, and it gives you a bonus to like or actually I think mine, it was actually something negative. It's like you get negative ruler like leadership or something like that, like negative 3% leadership, because like, oh, you're a vampire guy, you're not supposed to have any mercy.
there's public order as a stat that you have to keep your people happy. Basically, it's the choices you make during combat, outside of combat, they affect public order, and if public order gets bad, you get basically overthrown in essence.
Gotcha. Oh, that would suck. But the other options were kill them, and it's like you could use the meat for feeding your troops or whatever.
Jeez.
And then there was like ask them to join your side or something like that, and it says like you get increased troops, you get 3% troop regeneration or something like that, which would mean like, all right, you pick a couple guys from his army and you're like, go off, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that same guy ended up fighting me again for whatever reason. No, you can't mock him, Sweet Spot. Not to my knowledge. But you can cut things up, and we can just say story wise that you cut up his troops and he had to watch. Like, you suck, or cut his leg off, and then you eat his leg. You're like, this isn't even good. But you can't walk now.
So I like it's a super in-depth game. So
yeah, it is.
I had issues with it. Got very limited gameplay, but I did watch some videos. Like I said, there's a tech tree. You can update troops. There's buildings, and you can unlock keeps as you take over a territory that just add to it. So you get that, like I mentioned, you get that Civ / like Stargate Warcraft feeling, where you're upgrading troops. You have buildings that are researching things. And so you get all the real time strategy stuff, and then you get the empire building games.
Yeah, which is like fully turn based. That's just completely turn based. Like literally, certain things when you go to research, it'll say there's 3 turns until this research is done.
And then you hit enter, and it counts down. And the rest of the world moves. One thing I liked is playing. I'm a huge Civ fan. When Civ 6, if you're playing against 8 computers, sometimes near the end stages of the game, hitting enter is go get something to eat because it's processing all the stuff that's going on.
Gotcha.
There was more factions than 8. I want to say at one point I looked like there was solid 12 factions on the screen,
I
maybe
don't know.
16, and it was chewing through them really fast.
It felt like 20. And at first, I didn't know what was happening. Like, I hit the button that says, like, end your turn. And a few times when I did that, it's like, you have points to use. Why don't you use them?
Yeah.
Okay, I found where it was, went through the 8 different skill trees, like, this. Like, whatever.
Yeah,
and then, yeah, you hit enter, and it just shows all these shields going by, and it says the names of the different factions. And I was like, what is this? Like, after a certain amount of time, I was like, is it trying to choose what faction I am? And I realized, like, oh, the rest of the world is moving.
Yeah.
This is just showing me that the rest of the world is making its moves.
And the cool thing about the skill tree for the leaders is it very much changes play styles. Like if you're very aggressive, there was an option in there that it was like your military pride, and then there was one I played the White Dwarf. One of the ones was like it was like nepotism is a good thing. So like having your family be the leaders, and it was researching family, and that actually bolstered your public order.
Gotcha.
So you could definitely, depending on your play style, the skill trees are very open to different options, and doing research on it, you don't necessarily screw yourself like WoW used to be. You could utterly screw yourself with a skill tree if you were just like
pretty crazy back in the day.
Or League of Legends, even the skill tree is pretty insane. So this one is a little more open and forgiving, which was an aspect I always like, because I like any game that I don't have to play one way.
Yeah, and I like that. Like when I look through the skills, there was one for somebody who's not going to play the game very much. It was like passive, regenerate health, enemy troops regenerate health faster, like area of effect, everything that you're by is like, boop, let me get that. Yep. Let's do this. I don't have to click any buttons. Awesome.
Yep. Nice. What are your initial thoughts? Like, is this keep playing?
For me, it's not, just because it's way too involved. Now, if somebody's looking for something to really delve deep into, this is for sure something like that. It has a lot of progression. Like I do like when games progress. Like Diablo 3, I liked a ton. A lot of dungeon crawlers I really liked, but a lot of those you don't have to really be as deep into to enjoy. Where I feel like with this game, because there are so many like systems and subsystems within things, like the garrison has a lot. Like every garrison has its own build up that you have to do for it, and you have to keep track of your resources to make sure that you have enough to feed your armies and things like that. And then you have your own lords, which you can have more than one, that have up to 6 possible skill trees within each of them. It's just too much for me to keep track of. I would rather just jump in. Like, give me a game that's me jumping in the combat and just fighting, like, real time. Like, Have you played Lord of the Rings 3, Return of the King?
No.
You ever play that? It drops you in as a Lord of the Rings character in one of those skirmishes and says, go for it. And then you can get, like, some level up stuff later on, just a few things that maybe give you a couple extra abilities, and that's that. It's mainly just hand-to-hand. It's like God of War, but Lord of the Rings.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's a lot more my style.
So out of 10.
So out of 10 for this game, from my own personal perspective, I would give it like a 5. It's whatever to me. Yeah. If it's somebody that I think is into these games, I think it would probably be rated a little higher. Like if I wanted to get into it, I'd probably give it like a 7 from the beginning and then see where it goes. But my personal rating will be a 5. So
technical issues, I didn't get to actually play much, but I did see some videos. I, however, love in-depth games. Those are I want. There's times in a perfect world, I want something that's almost EVE Online crazy Excel spreadsheet, but not quite. But I like when my turn, there's a lot of decisions to make. The game's not just, I don't want to say monotone is not the right word, but you get the idea. I like games where I can switch gears and do a little bit of things so I don't get bored.
Mm-hmm.
So
like XCOM.
Like XCOM. Yeah, which I played again.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Right now it's like a 6.5, and again, that's very limited. Once I dive into this, which I'm going to do at some point, I'll probably upgrade it to higher. I just need to really dive into the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, what you were explaining before, you had to update the game cache, and it took like an hour and a half,
forever.
2 hours. Yeah. Where the time you were supposed to be using to download, you felt my pain of the internet being in your way.
I downloaded the game like 2 weeks ago, or
I know,
and it just I went to play it and just it was game crash, and then I did that whole was it check file system or whatever you can do in Steam?
Yeah, it's like check the local file cache.
But this is like a giant ass game, and it took forever.
I had the same issue when I was playing Saints Row 3 with friends back in the day. I used to do that all the time. Have to update the game cache because it crashed every friggin' 10 seconds because of weird DirectX stuff. Games, man. There's so much difficult, confusing things behind the scenes. All the lines of code. I see the code.
So definitely check that one out. It got an 86 from Metacritic, which Metacritic's usually pretty harsh.
Yeah.
It did, however, get mixed reviews on Steam. It's got quite a few, so it's mixed. Which this is actually the lowest reviewed game on Steam, I think, that we got from Humble Bundle at mixed.
And I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's the multiplayer or something.
Multiplayer or the
multiplayer.
in-depth. Like I said, some people aren't going to be like, this is... Each mode is its own thing. Even the combat's not necessarily intuitive. There's a lot to it.
I feel like a lot of people... I don't know if this is just my, like, aloof perspective because I only play, like, really certain types of games. But I feel like the average player wants, like, a ton of content out of a game. And they want to play it for a really, really long time. I don't know. I mean, is that fairly accurate? When you get a game, do you want to be able to play it for like 20 or 40 hours or something like that?
I'm usually, I want to know I give me a 60 out of a game.
You want to get 60 hours out of a game?
Yeah, for me to buy a...
Or to get your $60 worth, is what you're saying.
Well, no, like, if it's a $10, $15 title, I have lower expectations. But this is a full price $60 game. I want 60 hours of content. Like, even if that includes multiplayer, but like Titanfall. Yeah. Played $60. I want to make sure I've gotten 600 hours out of Titanfall. But same thing, actually, Wildlands. If I don't get that, I'm gonna be pissed off at that because I paid $60 for a game. But yeah, that's kind of my scale for $60 games because I can only do those once every other month or so. So I need that to fill up my gaming time when I want that game.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't buy too many $60 games. So like I said, my perspective is a little different. I buy games at $5 or $10, and it doesn't matter if I get a few hours out of it. Yeah, because it's just a soda or two or an energy drink or something. I'm not losing anything.
So check that game out. It's available on Steam and Linux, or PC and Linux, and it's also our giveaway game of the month.
Yes, Total War Warhammer, which we're about to give away right now to one lucky Twitch.tv viewer.
So every week we give away games on Twitch.
I don't know if anybody heard that, but his phone just vibrated. He said, every week we shit our pants.
We show our pants. So we're going to do the raffle live just so people have an incentive when they're hearing this podcast and maybe join us live.
Yeah, to know that, like, this legit, we give one away every week. And there's, like, how many people are in chat right now? There's 2 people in the raffle. So, like, 50% chance of winning this game.
And the winner is...
What do we got? What's it going to show? Devotchka 2000.
She's the winner of the Twitch raffle.
Yes, she won another one. See, she won the last one before too. She
won 2 times ago.
Yeah. She was like one of the few.
I'm just saying Devotchka because me and Devotchka work at the same place. There's some coworkers who might be a little envious now.
Oh no! Usually with these games, because for people who don't know, Devotchka is my lady. We live together. So she likes entering the raffles, just it's like a scratch-off ticket essentially. Yeah. So she will probably hold this for somebody and offer to give it to somebody else who might want it.
Yeah,
probably. I don't know. She might want to play it also. Sweet Spot's flipping tables. Don't worry, Sweet Spot. I would guess that if you ask really nice, she might give it to you.
Yeah.
She also has a copy of Oklos that is waiting for somebody because she said she was going to do that too. Once she finds a nice person come along, she said, "Here you go. Have a copy."
All right, so check out the game out.
Yes, Total War Warhammer.
Congrats.
Yes, congratulations once again. I don't think people, like a lot of people where I work are like, they see the podcast thing that I have posted on the bulletin board. And I'm like, what's that? It's like, it's my podcast. They're always like, oh, that's awesome. And I always tell them, we give away free games every Monday. All you got to do is be there. There's hardly anybody that goes in. They're like, oh, hell yeah, I want to get some free games. They never show up. Yeah. That's their own loss. So it's it's an easy game to get. I mean,
so Devotchka, I know Sweet Spot might want it. Sir Matthew, I know definitely wanted it, and he was unable to join us for other reasons today. Just saying, some interoffice love. It's up to you. All right.
So if you do want to give it to anybody, just let us know who that is. You can either message through here or private message us, and we will let the person know and get them their key after the cast is over. All right, let me make sure this is exported. Warhammer, and close it out. And we'll start a new. Thank you for being a viewer and enjoying our cast. It's nice having some people watching.
Yeah.
Devotchka. I didn't mean to have that come out like a robot, but my brain wasn't working right.
Thank you, Devotchka, for
Thank you.
all that you do for us.
With my slender turkey body. All right, let me get the next recording started.
What's going on with Studio Dombrowski?
Game stuff, right? I got a business, which I was reminded of.
Or if you're that rapper, Ludacris, it's a business.
A business. Now I'm going to get everybody all up in my business. All right, anyway. I can rap a lot better than that, by the way. Speaking of rap, I stumbled across Andy Milonakis' stream yesterday. He had an IRL
He's still
stream.
doing...
He was live streaming with his phone. He was drunk in the back of a cab. And he's just like, thanks for the sub. Much love. And he would do a little rap for the people that are subbing.
I can't believe he's still...
He had over 8,000 viewers.
So anyone who doesn't know, Andy Milonakis was viral famous before social media and YouTube.
Yes, he was.
He had a song that was like Sally, a love song that was like the first thing I ever saw, and it was the most ridiculous crap ever.
And for people who don't know, he's just completely just silly. A lot of the stuff he comes up with doesn't make sense. It's goofy, Dumb and Dumber type of stuff. And he has a condition that makes him look much younger than he is. He's a lot older than he always looks like a kid. He just looks like a child, but he's older than me. I'm 31. He's about your age, isn't he?
I think
36 or something like that?
Thanks, buddy.
What are you,
I don't know. You younged me up a little.
Oh, well, I figured you were around there.
If you've ever seen the movie Waiting, which a lot of people have, Waiting is like Office Space for the waitstaff.
Yeah.
He's one of the two stoner guys. He's the smaller of the two stoner guys.
He's the chubby kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had his own show, the Andy Milonakis Show, which I very much enjoyed. I have a season of it on DVD.
Oh, it's garbage. It's so bad.
I like it. I also like Tim and Eric. Awesome show. Great job. So it explains it. Let's see. Yeah, like Christy Chronic is saying, I was surprised to see, because I was just sorting through the streams, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of people watching this. There's probably one person that's just dominating it. And IRL surprisingly had a lot of people that were legit just watching, 1,000 people watching here, 800 people watching here. Very surprising.
He's 41 years old.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he's pretty old
He's
now.
officially an actor, writer, rapper, streamer, and comedian.
Yeah, but I guess the streaming is what's keeping him afloat. He has a stream group through Twitch, which I didn't see who the other people were, but he's part of a streaming group. And he was getting subs left and right the other day, and he had over 8,000 viewers. And it was him literally sitting in a cab streaming via his phone, which is very strange. But I was just talking about rapper
IRL
stuff.
IRL was a thing.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that
it's
either.
not a game. It's just
real
streaming
life.
real
Yeah,
life. We should probably do that for the podcast. Put it in the IRL channel.
I guess. I mean, isn't there a podcast?
There's not a podcast.
There's
I've been looking.
not?
No.
I could have swore there was.
No, every time I go into our thing, I type in podcast, and there's nothing there.
Maybe.
But IRL is there, so
maybe we'll do IRL in the future. Anyway, but yeah, I used to rap quite a bit. I can't freestyle really. I still try to in my car sometimes, but that's beside the point.
Ultra Laser.
I have a game development studio, which is generally centralized on video games, but I've also worked on card games and stuff before it was official, and I probably will now that it is official. I've created a few different video games, went to some conventions and stuff, and keeping my business up, which, like I was saying before, it's a little bit of a upkeep. Maintenance is at the beginning of the year, so a little bit of money came out of pocket for that, but it will still be going for at least another year because I've paid all the bills for the next year. And if Patreon keeps up and I can get more people through Patreon, or am able to sell more games, it'll be self-sustaining. If Patreon actually stays at the level that it is, it'll be very close to being self-sustaining, which is pretty nice. But when everything comes around, paying for the hosting of the podcast, paying for the giveaways and the games that we talk about, paying for the website itself, the custom email address, the business license, it's $1,000 a year or something. It's almost $1,000
with everything. Yeah.
If it, you know what I didn't notice, the podcast half of it it like the podcast is actually like literally like half of the business expenses. It's crazy. I just don't realize it because it's spread out per month. You spend
Yeah.
$15 a month
Yeah.
twice. I'm essentially spending $30 a month, and then we split the hosting fees, which is 15, or use it off of the the Patreon.
Yeah.
So that's $45 a month times 12 months. That's like $500 almost. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, you just don't think about it because it's split up. But it felt a little more frontal when it's like Squarespace says your renewal is up at $210. The government's like, if you want to keep your business license, it's $140. And you want to keep your email address,
How
it's
dare you be legit?
$50. But you know, if I had a higher paying job, it wouldn't be anything else. I mean, there are hobbies that cost more than this.
That's true.
I see
Magic
them,
costs
yeah,
more
I
than
see
this.
them come in the shop.
Yeah.
I see regulars come in and buy a case of a new set. Like, yeah, that's like $400.
Yeah.
But that's been all paid for. So just because I haven't been doing as much work on game stuff directly, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing the thing.
Mhm.
And the thing that's on my mind now is something small that I'd like to do. I released a game almost a year ago. It'll be in 2 weeks. It'll be a year ago, and it was the first game that I released that was a full game. It's Decimate. It's like an arcade, somewhat arcadey style shooter game, mainly made for Android for phones. It's also on PC, and there's been some quality of life things that have been stewing in my head that I could fix without requiring a lot of time and make it so I will personally enjoy the game more. So I will have more replayability. I'm going to be giving the game away for free. I'm not as concerned about what other people want, to be quite honest. I made it free on itch.io, which will in turn make it so if you go to my website, you can get to the itch link and you don't have to get through the buy page of my website. The buy page of my website is, I don't know, I don't care about purchases going through there. Nobody's ever purchased anything through there because they don't make it user-friendly through Squarespace.
Yeah.
Sorry, Squarespace, but Stripe is not very user-friendly. Like, I can't put things up for free, which is stupid. You have to put in credit card information and then have it cost $0, but they still have to put in credit card information. I personally wouldn't do that on
Yeah,
a page.
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, after I finish this quality of life update and I add the new Google Play requirements and whatnot, because the current version that I have has some weird like PNG database like loopholes thing. Like the version that I use to create the build of the game has this one backend plugin that's like a security issue, and they told me like if you upload another version of this game, it cannot have this version of the thing in it.
Gotcha.
And I'm pretty sure I've since updated GameMaker because a lot of people had the same problem because they use GameMaker in the export modules. That should be updated so when I do the next one, it'll have a few new features that you probably won't notice. It's just to kind of streamline things a little bit, and it will be free on Google Play, which once you put something free on Google Play, you can no longer charge for it ever again. The only thing I could do to possibly get money if I wanted to is to put advertisements in it or something like that, but I don't know if I will. I think I'm just going to leave it up free forever because if people really want to give me money, my name's going to be on it. When you first turn the game on, it says Doombrowski. I have a Patreon. I have the itch page, which you can donate through, and PayPal you can donate through as well. So people can give me money if they want, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to be moving forward with games after I finish that. So the main plans for the quality of life on Decimate are: when you first play through the game, you get credits when you beat a level based on how fast you beat it in. And right now, you can only really get 1 credit for the first few levels until you spend your credits to upgrade your gun, the first gun that you get, which is you only have 1 available. Once you upgrade the gun, you can start beating the next levels, possibly getting 2 credits on each. Once the gun's closer to fully upgraded, you can get 3 credits on each.
Yep.
So I want to push people through the game just to get through the first wave. And there's 5 guns, and there's 10 levels per gun. And with only doing some minor upgrades, you can get through the levels to at least finish them before the timer hits 0, which gets you 1 credit. And you can pretty much play the whole game by getting 1 credit on every level. But there's extra stuff that unlocks when you get the top ranking on things. If you get the 3-star, which is fairly difficult to do with every gun. I made it that way on purpose. So there's really only like a couple second window, and you have to be more precise.
Yep.
It's about precision because it's sort of a puzzle game because you have to hit it at certain angles at certain times. So once you're more precise, then you can get better scores. And the problem I was having is that when I play through the game the first time and I beat all the levels, you have to grind your gun back up. Well, not back up. You have to grind your gun to get enough points in it to be able to beat the levels to get to the next area, which you can only use the next gun for. And I built the level specifically for each gun, because some guns are like a shotgun spreads out, and I made it so some of the parts of it may be a little more like condensed, so you have to strategize to where the spread is going to hit so you can hit that one thing just right and hit things at different angles and stuff like that. There's a gun that like slices through things, and you want to like line up a lot of your shots so you can get the most damage per shot, because it hits everything for like a fragment of damage when it goes through. So what I'm probably going to do, well, what I am going to do, is after you beat the first 50 levels, it'll say like you have an ultra token or something like that will level up a gun to max. So once you beat the game, you get one ultra token, and you can level up one gun to max, and you can play through all those levels, and there's no reason you shouldn't be able to get full rankings on it, because your gun is maxed out. You don't have to worry about leveling it anymore. And then after you beat one of those groups of levels, you get another ultra token. And if you want to go into another gun, level that gun up, play through that, and use that if you want. And if you really want a challenge and you don't want to level up your gun fully, just use the points you get from that to put them into another gun and just kind of slowly level it. Because some of the levels you can beat without leveling things up to max. And it might just be like I want to do it just because I can. Like I can get the better score with less.
Yeah.
Like a completionist type of thing. And this will create an overage of credits, which will maybe incentivize people to unlock more of the ships. Because the ships only unlock currently when you get 3 stars or like the max score on a group of 5 of the levels. So let's say you decide to level up the machine gun first, you beat the first 5 levels of the machine gun, now it says a new ship is unlocked. And you can go to the ship area and purchase it for, currently it's at 15 credits, but maybe I'll beef it up to 20 or something like that. Yep. And make it so all the extra credits that you're getting from, being over leveled because you got like 50 credits worth of stuff immediately can be put into getting the ships, something like that. Honestly, if I remade the game, there wouldn't be levels to guns. I just thought it was cool at the beginning, and now it's whatever. But once you play through the regular game, it unlocks new modes too. So you can legit, like, if you like one gun the best, like the assault rifle, that's probably the best gun in the game, in my opinion. Level it to max, you can now play all the challenge levels and the hard mode levels as well, which are like a whole different gameplay style. So I think that that's going to like streamline things a lot and make it so people who do want to play the game and just not grind everything out, they don't have to. Just for myself, I don't have to grind it out. Because I took the game out when I was sitting somewhere the other day, and I was like, I don't want to grind this out. Like, I know it is required to get this gun to where it needs to be able to beat this level. Like, I mean, I could go to certain levels first, but I was like, I want to use this gun. Like, yeah. I'm being a little baby about my own game. So that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be free. I've been thinking a lot lately about business-related things, mainly with LGSs, local game shops, because I'm working for one, and I am quite efficient at my job there, and I really like what I'm doing there, and I know for a fact that I can run it better than the people that are currently running it. Carl, the guy whose name is on it, will tell you that I am a better worker than he is. He knows it. It's hard for him to stay on task and whatnot. He's kind of a man-child, whatever. So I've been thinking about that. Thinking of possibly, if I get some money, start saving up and maybe get like a little brick and mortar store, because I know it can be supported by online sales, and a lot of online purchasing can be done as well to support that online sales. So it may be something that I endeavor in the future. And if that's the case, I'll try to still do game stuff, but I don't know how possible that'll be if I'm like running my own business, especially since it's something that like people go there on the weekends. They always go there on the weekends. So I'd have to find a weekly balance and some trustworthy people and whatnot. But that's further down the road. But I have been thinking about it.
Yeah,
I've been crunching numbers and stuff. Yeah, because I know I get to see everything on the back end now, which I wasn't sure if I was allowed to look at their numbers or whatnot. Because the lady that funds the current place that I'm working at said that like, oh, this last week our numbers were down. We want to get the new Modern Masters, and I explained why they were the way that they were, and she's like, oh, you probably noticed. So I took that as, well, you're allowed to look at them. So I looked at the numbers we were getting, and just to let you know, if you compare the 3 months of last year to the same 3 months that I've been working there, there's been a 47% profit.
Boom.
47%. If you stretch it out for the entire year, like if my work continues on at the same rate, it'll be 59%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine making, instead of 100% of what you made last year, 159% of what you made last year. That pays for me and more. It pays for the shop. It pays for another location of the shop almost with another employee. Like, it's pretty crazy. I don't know the exact details of it because there is some cost that's lost in like shipping. I know Uncle Sam. I try to account for Uncle Sam and our costs on purchases. But generally, I know what we pay for things. I just don't know the exact average of shipping because a lot of the orders we have are small. And if the way that things are set up right now, a very small order, say $1, loses money, loses like 13 cents. But if we get an order of $1.50 or more, it starts to profit of a little bit.
Yep.
So I'd like to know where that average is to really get a good idea. So I could say, we purchased the card for this, the sales says this, we actually made 40% of that. This is what we're really taking out the door at the end of everything after everybody gets paid and all that. And that's just personally, I think the people that run it and have the money should know this, but they don't. They just see the figure that shows what they're currently making. I've been thinking about that a lot. Like you were saying, I've been learning the card games, and I'm almost done with like all of them. These last few weeks, I've been playing Cardfight Vanguard. I believe I talked about that just before you left. And I've still been watching the TV show, so I'm at like episode 54 or something like that. I'm just going to keep watching that show. I enjoy it. And they're short, and it's like watching a stream. You get to watch people play a game. People watch football. They watch people streaming other games. I mean, it feels the same way, only it's a version of the game where the game comes to life. And as a kid, you're like, I want that. I want to play a card on the table. And
I remember Yu-Gi-Oh first came out. Yes. I was like, I want that.
Yes, that'd be so great. So I learned. I pretty much know Vanguard. I built 2 decks. I learned Force of Will is surprisingly good. I really enjoy the game. I don't care for the art because it's really like Japanese anime, a bunch of like girls with their boobs hanging out and stuff. I don't care about that. I just like the game mechanically because it takes some of the things. It's very similar to Magic. Except that you don't have the same phases. You have like a phase. You can play spells and then attack and then play spells and attack and play spells. However you want to do it. You attack once per creature, once at a time. They can choose a single blocker if they, if you can play Magic, you can play Force of Will 100%. And you cannot be mana screwed. At any time during your turn, you have a card called a ruler card. You tap it. You play a stone off of your stone deck, your Magic stone deck, your own deck.
I already like this game
that has its own mana. And what's cool about that is that both your regular deck and your stone deck have like a minimum, just like any other deck. The minimum for the stone deck is 10, and there are dual lands already. There's dual lands of every color combination. There's shock lands that are considered to be both types of, I think they're at like 2/3 or 3/4 of the combinations. And now there are like vivids, essentially in Magic, that they tap for one color and they have 2 counters on them and they can tap for 2 of another color. But it's not like any color on the tokens. It's like one specific. Yeah. So you could essentially make an entire stone deck out of just a 2-color thing if you want. So every stone will be both of those colors. You cannot get mana screwed. You can build a deck that says like, okay, I have a stone deck. In one of them, it's 10 stones. And 4 of them are like, or I want to say 6. Yeah, 6 of them have white in them, and then every stone taps for black. And there's some straight up black ones. There are white spells in the deck that cost 6, which means after flipping 6 of them, I'm guaranteed to have the right mana to cast it 100% of the time.
So the reason he's bringing up mana pools is it's documented. Like, there is witnesses, Ryan included. I went something like 16 games in a row getting mana screwed, and I had the proper amount of mana in my deck, and it was uncanny.
Yeah, we played a lot of Cube Draft together, which is a really fun way to play Magic, but it still has the same dice roll factor of your land is shuffled into the deck with every other card, and if you start with a 2-lander, that might be okay to go, and you might want to keep it and not mulligan, but you can just rip non-land, and not be able to play the game. Yeah. And it's really a bummer that you literally can't play the game. And with Force of Will, that can't happen. If you build your deck to have too many expensive things, that's your own fault. Because you can get mana every turn. And there's cards like Rampant Growths in the game too, still. So you can Rampant Growth off the top of your stone deck. So you think about how much more powerful that is now because you're guaranteed your land drop,
Yeah.
and your rampant growth guarantees you get a turn ahead.
It's a lot more interaction, a lot more play. That's
Yes,
cool.
it's really fun. The only thing that's kind of like so-so to me is that you have to have a ruler card, and that's what a lot of them flip into like a big creature at a lower cost that kind of you build your deck around. And I've only found like 3 or 4 of the rulers within like the standard / modern equivalent formats that I like. A lot of them are just like, I don't want to play that. Like, that's boring. Where if you compare it to playing Commander or Elder Dragon Highlander in Magic, you have a lot of commanders to pick from.
Yeah.
You have a ton. Which it may just be because the game is somewhat still in its infancy. It's only a few years old. But the game itself is really fun. I'm in the process of actually, just before I came here, I was writing down cards for my 3rd deck
Nice.
that I'm going to purchase. Another thing about it is to purchase the first deck that I bought cost me $13. And I bought every single out of it. Tons of rares. $13.
Nice.
And all the dual lands and stuff too. It was awesome. Like, I chose to put more money into it. I put like, another $20 or something into it, made it a better deck. It's pretty much like, I feel like it's like tier 1. I honestly do. Like, compared to because I went deep into this game and I started looking up the tournaments and seeing like what was winning and who plays what, and people at the shop, what they're playing. I goldfished before I even played. I won the second game I played, like against somebody that was like a seasoned person that had a deck that was actually 100% counter my deck, and I still won.
Nice.
So I was playing like a grave thing, and they were playing Exile from the Grave, which is annoying. But my deck is actually pretty good,
Yeah. Nice.
like right off the bat. And I know what to build against and whatnot. It's pretty easy to meta. The card sets are just smaller. It's just not as daunting. It's not Total War Warhammer. It's smaller. It's the Binding of Isaac. Like,
It's partial war.
It's partial war, war knife.
Partial war knife.
Yes, partial war knife. So Force of Will is super fun, and I think you would like the game as well. So if you're ever
I'll check
interested
it
in
out.
like trying to learn sometime or come to the shop, I'll teach you. I also learned another game called Weiss Schwartz, which is a card game made by the same people that made Vanguard, and it has a lot of IPs of like animes and stuff. So like Attack on Titan, Sword Art Online, Fairy Tail. They actually have some video game ones too. Persona 4, that's the deck that I bought, was Persona, Disgaea, and a lot of other in-betweens. And you're like on a stage and you're fighting against somebody else on another stage, and I don't know. Like, when I read into it at first, mechanically it seemed cool because it has a kind of a push and pull to it. But sitting down and playing a game of that takes like an hour. And
Ugh.
things really don't kick in until you're like level 3, which means you're halfway through your health. You're already halfway through the game. It kind of bored me quite
Gotcha.
a bit. I know how to play it. I can teach people, but I'm not going to be playing a whole lot of that game. I bought a starter and some
That's
sleeves.
yeah.
That's it. So I see the appeal because it has like likenesses, and you can see like, oh, this is that character, and it makes sense that he does this. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
If you have like a certain type of anime or something that you're into, for sure, play it. But I think it's heavier European based. A lot of people in Europe like playing it. We sell cards as more European stuff. The only games that I have left to learn until I'm pretty much done with it and my brain can focus on other things. We have a game called Buddy Fight,
Which is fun.
which I haven't really played. I played one time with a regular that comes in, and he's like an elite purchaser of Buddy Fight. Like, when he sells the cards to us, he'll sell us a deck. He'll make $200-$300. He will make that amount. So the deck is like $600. It's
Jeez.
ridiculous. So I'm gonna buy. We have 2 starters for that. It's like the Mega Dragon Ruler of the Colossal Ocean or something like that. Yeah. So I'm probably gonna buy that, and then I also need to learn just Dungeons and Dragons. They make like a starter kit, and it's like
the
$20.
pen and paper game or a card game?
The pen and paper game.
I got you, bro.
But I'd like to get the starter adventure set because it's like a kind of a entry level. This is enough to
Yeah.
get you into it, and it's only $20. Books are expensive for D&D.
Yeah.
Most of them are hardbound, and they're like $40 or $50. You get a used one, you might get lucky at like 30 if you're really lucky. But MSRP on those books is like $50.
But they're beautiful.
Oh yeah, they're very nice, very good quality. And we have all the books at the shop. Like, a lot of people come in and just pick up the books and use them. And people have asked like, "Oh, why won't you play?" And it's because, well, I'm on the clock. So I'd like to have a way to like kind of go through it when I have the time, when I can focus on it. Just get the basic pack, which is made to get people into the game. and then see if we maybe want to sell that too.
Yeah.
Which would be cool.
So yeah, I got you.
All right. Yeah, I know. I got
I've
some other
run
friends that
D&D
play
games.
too.
Like for one of Devachka's our coworker for her birthday,
Mhm.
I ran a D&D game for her. And the year before, we ran basically a LARP D&D game.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've got you on D&D.
Yeah, and my only D&D experience is when I was in high school. I had a friend that played D&D, and he's like, "Let's make you up a character sheet." I was like, "Oh, this is kind of fun. You know, you get to divvy out your stats and whatnot." I was like, "All right, I got a guy with a spear. He's pretty agile or dexterity or whatever." And I was like, "I want to try a combat with this." And it's actually funny. Kale was the character who I combated, whatever it is. And his brother Kirk is the one that was setting everything up for me. I was like, "All right, I want to fight him." It's like, "Okay, let's see what happens if you fight him." I have a spear, right? Can I throw the spear? Yeah, you can throw it. Can I choose where I throw it? Sure. I want to throw it at his face. All right, you have to get a really high roll because it's got to be really accurate. So I threw it and it was like a 19 or a 20. I was like, you hit him, critical, he's dead. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going out while I'm on top. that was it.
No.
I chucked a spear, hit him in the face, game over.
Yeah, I ran a game for a while with Sweet Spot actually, a D&D game. So and then Candy and Vicky, who you know.
Mhm.
They all play, and then yeah, so I got you.
Yeah, I'll jump into one. One of the major things for me, like the hurdle for me to get over, is like a lot of the fantasy stuff. I can't put myself into it, and I think it's because mechanically I didn't understand like what was possible when the first time I was trying to get into it. Like I did the spear throwing one, and I actually after that I like subbed in for somebody else's character because they didn't have one, and it just friggin' bored me to death because I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing or what I was allowed to be doing. I didn't know like the traits that my character really had. I didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, all right, I'm poking this guy with a stick. Like I'm doing what would be fun for me if I were actually there and I don't have to worry about the repercussions because I'm not really gonna die in real life. So
Yeah.
yeah. So he's trying to push at this stone thing and I'm just like jabbing him in the side and see what happens. They're like, oh, there's a bridge here. It doesn't look very safe. I was like, I'll go across it. You fell and died. Whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
That was basically the experience with that. But I do plan on learning it because we have an adventurers league that we run at the store, and we have a guy that's been running it. But I don't want him to like have to run it all the time. It'd be nice to be able to do that for him, and it would be cool to be doing that on the clock and get paid for it because I can do like a lot of voices and stuff, and I think I could create good scenarios and like make good judgments based on what they're doing to be fun.
You should check out. They're on Twitch and YouTube. It's called Critical Role. It's a D&D campaign done by 7 voice actors who have done stuff you know.
Oh yeah, that would be sweet.
So the GM
I think
does
I've heard
like
about that before.
legit voices, and all the cast they're all professional voice actors, all of which I guarantee you know one thing, at least one thing.
Gotcha.
Every one of them is done.
Gotcha. Yep, but that's pretty much all I've been up to. Decimate and learning card games, and I'm getting really close to the end of that, so it's going to be more game dev. What have you been working on?
Bro,
Have you been able to work on anything? I know your
Dude.
work schedule's been
So my work has an annual users conference that we put on for our clients.
crazy. Users like drug
Yeah.
users?
I feel like
I
it's a big deal, and I was super slammed getting prepped. So my normal job was really busy on top of having to prepare for it, to the point of like I was ignoring people I talked to every day and was like, and now I feel bad. And I'm like, well, I was super slammed. They had, so that was the week 2 weeks ago. My whole day was rehearsing my presentations. I had 2 presentations that I was 100% solely responsible for. They're 45 minutes apiece, and these are all people that I need to be engaging and teach them something new, basically.
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was the conference. And Thursday, Friday was hi, kids and wife. I missed you because I didn't see them at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I also jacked up my knee a little bit, so I was kind of out of it a little bit. And then just now things are calming down. So I literally have done nothing for 2 weeks.
Yeah, it
dev
happens.
related. And also, like, I tried last night I opened Game Maker and just stared. Because I was like, my brain is not trying to be like, let's code today.
Yeah, sometimes you got to give it a break. And I kind of did the same thing. Like, it's not like I was extra busy or anything, but like I had my work schedule changed so I could have a full weekend to myself this weekend,
Yep.
and it was amazing. Like, it's only been 3 months since I've been on this like working every Saturday thing, but having a Saturday off, Saturday felt like Sunday, Sunday felt like it was supposed to be Monday, which is the day. Today, I usually just do chores and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the main thing I do because nobody's there. It's like I don't really hang out with anybody. So I got to hang out with Devotchka 2000 both Saturday and Sunday, and I got to see her today. So it just felt like at school when you're like surprisingly have a 3-day weekend that comes up, and they're like, by the way,
I have a 4-day weekend next weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't wait. But I get you. I believe me, I worked retail for 15 years prior to my current job. I feel your pain. But I got a promotion of sorts at work.
Congratulations.
I can now say it. And besides that, I did play a little bit of Wildlands. It encourages multiplayer, and there's 3 other guys at work, and we played like a 5-hour session, and it's a very coordinated military operation type game.
What is it for?
PC.
PC?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had like a laptop with you or something? Or?
No, this was after I got home.
Oh, after you got home.
Yeah, this was just the other day because it came out while we were in conference. I bought it Friday and we played Friday night.
Gotcha. I thought maybe like when you were at the conference.
No, dude, I was because you have to schmooze during dinner even and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I know. Yeah, I heard about it. It's pretty slam packed full.
And I am super extrovert, charisma guy, and there's they tell you engage clients and stuff. So that was my whole. Then the one night we didn't have to, there was free alcohol, and that made up for it. And I feel bad.
I heard you had some shades on one day.
I felt bad because I inadvertently ditched someone, and I feel really bad about it because I said we're gonna get pizza and come back, but due to it being 8 Yinglings in, we got to pizza and was like, it's too far to go back, and just sat at the table, and I felt bad.
That's awful.
But I don't drink very often. Like really, that's the 2 nights I drank there will probably be 30% of my drinking for the year. And it's just because it was free, and I'm usually stressed out because for me, like I'm usually on because I'm a kind of extroverted guy.
Yeah.
But I was on for 4 days solid.
Yeah, you need a freaking break sometimes.
And even I was like, I don't want to smile. I'm sick of joking.
No,
and,
I hear you.
Being like, hey, what's up?
Like I'm generally not as extroverted. I've become more extroverted, honestly. Like this podcast has brought it out of me, and my job. Now that I like know everybody, like I'm pretty extroverted now, and I'm in the same way. Like even when I get home, my brain is still on. That's why I like watching Vanguard, because it's like this fucking silly show. I'll just turn it off, turn my brain off. I totally get where you're coming from.
So, but with that, I'm gonna jump back on the bandwagon. I have some basic stuff. I actually Sunday night was kind of by myself waiting for things to start, and I had a epiphany about how to change something in the wall crawling code. I wrote it down because from you, a little book, and wrote it down. So I wrote it down, and I was like, I need to do this, and didn't necessarily write the code. I wrote I need a line that does this, a line that does this, and I need to make this little function. So
yeah, somewhat like the functionality of it, and a couple maybe snippets. Yeah,
so it's going to be cleaner. Because I ran into I don't want to say a bug, because it worked as intended, but I don't like the way it worked as intended. So it had to do with, I want to make it to where you could, if you have 2 walls, there's normally they'll bounce every game that has kind of wall crawl, so they have the bounce between 2 walls.
Yeah.
It didn't come off the wall well enough to add that as a skill mechanic.
Okay.
Like when you could just let go of the action button, if you hold back, it just kind of went like, I don't know, 6-7 pixels and went straight down.
Gotcha.
And there's no double jump in the game. So there was no way to jump off of the wall. So I'm gonna modify that to where there will be some like staggered walls, and you have to kind of bounce, go up, bounce across, go up, bounce across. Just because that's always a challenging mechanic and stuff. So, and it was just, I know how to fix it. I just didn't put it into the game to do it that way.
Gotcha.
Basically, gravity takes effect way too fast.
Yeah.
That's basically that's what it comes down to. So I need to add a little bit of delay when gravity kicks in, and also I need to make a way. I need to basically program that if you're holding the trigger for wall crawl and you jump something and you're pointing away from the wall, something happens. Right now, it's just like, cool story, bro, and nothing happens.
Gotcha.
So because it's in that state of wall crawl, so the jump mechanic's not even on.
Yeah, there has to be something that says like, if you're holding this button and you press jump, now it changes your state to jump, jump, wall jump or something like that. Yeah.
Like wall jumping. Yeah. So that's I wrote down the basic concept, the structural elements of that. So I went to go start that and literally was like, do I need to make a new state or can I do? I don't know. And then I was like, I can't do this.
Not now.
Yeah. So I'll get back to it. But that's pretty much it for me.
All right. We loaded that episode up. That was my fault. Ep 33 updates. Ryan. So thanks everybody for hanging out. This is the part where we try to figure out the clever little.
Oh, we had one.
Intro.
What was the partial war knife?
Or partial war, something like a war knife. I don't know. Or I could just make like sounds of a Pokemon attack.
Indie games and we can do that.
I'm down for that.
Should do the something with the well, are you gonna be able to put both of those in here?
Oh snap. No. We're gonna hold one for an extra episode.
Yeah, Pokemon Go probably has to wait.
We got a lot of content for one episode. So yeah, we'll hold that for later. So what are we gonna do with the Warhammer? What's and eating a man's leg in front of him?
And eating a man's leg in front of that's pretty good.
There we go. Let's do that. Okay. So game intro and intro tag. Come on. There we go. Oh, come on. It's not letting me do anything. I gotta sign in and sign me out again. Wind noises. We gotta do the wind noises on the Pokemon. We recorded the Pokemon segment here, but
I don't think it's gonna make this cut.
Yeah, Nate's gonna be going. He's gonna be away again for a week, and we're gonna use it then. And we'll probably have an extra segment next episode too, because the Pokemon one ran like 20-something minutes. That could technically be an episode on its own, which is great. But we're not gonna use it this episode. So we got. Did it not sign in? I just clicked sign in. What the F? What the F, David Blaine? It's still not doing it. View only.
Indie games and what were you gonna put? It says you're in.
Yeah, it says signed out. Sign back in. You're signed out. Retry. I'm hitting retry and it's not letting me. I think I'm DC'd or something.
That's weird.
That's not the right account. There we go. Son of a gun. Alright. Technical difficulties. Goddamn Paul Wall.
It looks like it just got kicked out again.
Breaking the internet. Violent games. Here we go. Studio update. Twitch giveaway. Intro. And there we go. Eating a man's leg in front of him. And we can call this what was it? Partial war knife?
Yeah.
Something like that. That sounds like Wark knife. Yeah, I gotta do a dash there. Partial war knife.
Alright, ready?
Okay. Gotta get hyped. This part we gotta have the energy to get people sucked in. Get people sucked in.
People sucked at not that.
Wait. Oh, hold on.
Alright.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ryan Dombrowski of game development studio Doombrowski.
And I'm Nathan, YouTuber and rookie game dev, the Ninja Fat Man.
And together we are Doom Ninja,
a podcast about all things gaming, from streaming to development, new games and old, AAA to indie games.
And eating a man's leg in front of him.
You giggled
Friggin'
in your
creeper.
in front of him.
Yes. I gotta make it sound evil, maniacal.
Intro.
And then we do a shout out because we are part of the Gonna Geek Network, podcasting network, a bunch of geeky podcasts. And we want to spread the love. We want other people to know about their stuff as well as our own. So, we have a little promo read. This is going to be fun. Let's see how we do on this. All right. Shout out.
It's time for the podcast plug.
For keeping all of the podcast fluid in its reservoir.
GonnaGeek.com show 183 Ninja Switch First Impressions.
It's actually Nintendo Switch First Impressions.
Damn it, I did that last time.
Or let's start over. Yeah, let's just keep it rolling and we'll restart.
It's time for the podcast plug.
For keeping all of the podcast fluid in its reservoir.
GonnaGeek.com show 183 Nintendo Switch First Impressions.
During this show, Chris gives his initial impressions after a weekend of using the Nintendo Switch.
The crew also discusses how SpaceX... SpaceX?
It sounds like that anyway. SpaceX.
SpaceX, okay.
Hold on, let's... Maybe that'll help.
Okay.
Like splitting it up.
I said SpaceX.
We'll
That's my brain said.
We'll keep the recording going. You can start at the crew if you want.
The crew also discusses how SpaceX is sending private passengers around the moon, the renewal of Star Wars Rebels, and
It sounds like something like
The crew also... Fuck me.
The crew also fuck me. You sound like some Asian guy. The crew also fuck me.
The crew also discusses how SpaceX is sending private passengers around the moon, the renewal of Star Wars Rebels, and Inhuman set photos.
Find out more about this show and others at GonnaGeek.com.
Yeah, half that's gonna make the blooper
Yes. Oh shit. Export audio. So that wraps everything up. That's what we usually end on. We ran a little bit long this week, about 20 minutes longer, but we got that extra segment. Usually we wrap it up around 10:30. So 9 o'clock to 10:30. We appreciate everybody that stuck with us through the live stream. We do this every week, starting at 9 o'clock at the same place. So you'll have a chance to win another game next week. We're gonna be I don't know what's next in line. We'll have to.
I don't know.
check.
We'll have to look.
Yeah. Devashka, was there anybody that you wanted to give the game to now, or do you want to hold on to
She
it?
texted me already.
She already let you know?
Yep.
Okay. Eps 33. Shout out.
All right. So thanks for listening, watching, and being part of our little world.
May your headbands be tight. May your
XP
XP plentiful.
Booyah.
Booyah.
Deuces.
Later.